And blessed to be a part of your day, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining us. Remember, you can win Kevin Miller's money very simply. Listen at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 3 p.m. during the Sean Hannity Show, or twice daily during the Kevin Miller Morning Show. And when you hear the code words, type talkradio.com, and you could win up to $5,000. Today's code word is sun. That's right, sun. So check it out today, sun. All right, there you have it. That is the code word of the day, sun. Hope you all had a great weekend. Tough loss for Boise State. I know a lot of people were thinking this could be the big year, but, that's what makes years so special. That's what makes Fiesta Bowls and national titles and playoffs and beating the big guys so special is it doesn't happen all the time. So good for the Broncos. They'll rebound, probably win the Mountain West, and maybe go to the Las Vegas Bowl or maybe even the Fiesta Bowl. Who knows? But tough loss for them. Even tougher for the folks in the Carolinas. Our thoughts and prayers. And on this program, we just don't say this. We really mean it. Our thoughts and prayers are going out to those folks in the Carolinas. I mean, imagine what would happen if you lost everything or you had 30 seconds or 30 minutes or even 30 days to get out of your home, right? I can't imagine what those folks are going through, and hopefully the federal government and the local governments will do the right thing. Also, over the weekend, we had the disaster that has become the Paulette Jordan campaign. And as we're always looking to earn your vote, to earn your listenership, that you remember that you're listening to Kevin Miller here on KIDO Talk Radio, not on some other place. There's only one home for Kevin Miller in the Treasure Valley, and that's KIDO Talk Radio. Sometimes people get confused, and this is how we differentiate ourselves from other people that are very nice people, very accomplished, and very talented. And this is how we do it. It's really this easy. We hear your opinions, we have our own opinions, and we go back and forth. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. Last month, I said the Paulette Jordan campaign is over. I said that there is no way that Paulette Jordan could beat Brad Little. Brad Little took on two of the toughest men, toughest contenders in the Treasure Valley in the state of Idaho. You had one, a firebrand conservative congressman who has beaten the unbeatable and done the unthinkable. You have another, a world-class doctor. You're never going to outwork him, Dr. Tommy Ahlquist, a developer, a family man. Both are family men, as is Brad Little, lieutenant governor. And I thought then that if you couldn't beat Brad Little in the primary with the organization, with the work, with the money, it's not going to happen. Now, everybody else will go, well, that's why they play the election game. Now, we can talk about the Bernie Sanders effect. We can talk George Soros. But really, the Paulette Jordan campaign is a disaster. Over the weekend, her press secretary resigned. I think her campaign manager resigned, her second one. And little did we know that good old Paulette requires her people to sign an NDA. You know what an NDA is? Is that the NBA? No. The NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. I don't know if anybody in the state of Idaho that has worked for a campaign at a gubernatorial level, congressional level, has ever had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So you have people, at the end of the day, rather embarrassing for Madam Jordan, that I guess they shut the door on her campaign office and they closed up shop. And without the support of the state Democratic Party, because, again, there's a frayed relationship there. Without, I guess, people that are willing to work for Paulette Jordan, she's done. Right. Remember, during the primary night, she actually had her party at a different place. Now, Paulette Jordan has been garnering a lot of national attention. And I decided to check this out. This was CNN, and this is on the Kevin Miller Show page on Facebook. And this is how people are looking at her campaign outside of the Treasure Valley.
Paulette?
Hi.
I'm so glad to meet you.
I've heard she'll never do it. She doesn't stand a chance. Yeah.
Well, they would be correct on that. Now, I'll let this play for a while, and I'll save my acerbic comments and yours at 580-5436, 580-KIDO in a minute. And then you're going to hear, well, you'll hear what really fires me up in a minute.
Why would she run? She's wasting her time.
Some people say you're too young.
No.
I think that's great. I'm tired of white men running this country.
I'm Paulette Jordan. I'm an American woman because my blood runs deep in this land. We are at the northern end of our reservation, the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and it's actually out in rural Idaho. We're just having ceremonies, prayer services, riding horses.
This is tribal land.
This is tribal land. This is a very spiritual place. Hey gang, how are y'all? Hey, long time no see, look at you.
I really admire what you're doing, and I'm excited to vote for you.
You are something else, man. Now, again, this is on CNN. She could become the country's first Native American governor. This is American Women in politics. But the first one, you have a lady that's long in the tooth, up in the years, saying, I don't want any white men running this country anymore. How much of a ridiculous sexist statement is that? I know you're thinking, Kevin Miller, come on, don't wake me up to this. But this is what we're up against. This is why it's so important that we continue this fight each and every morning. And then you have other people. I really like what does she stand for? Is she for horse racing before she's against horse racing? Is she for the Second Amendment before she's against the Second Amendment?
So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Why are you running for governor?
Right now, our state doesn't have leadership. I went to my grandfather and said, there's a base of people who are asking me to represent them in this larger district. And he says, the people need you beyond our community here. The state needs you. I knew he was always preparing me for something.
You were the youngest elected to the Coeur d'Alene Tribal Council.
I have experience sitting on the tribal council, being able to work with folks in the White House, representatives in the U.S. Senate. Rural Idaho means a lot of people get by with very little, so I'm here to fix that. They need a representative of the people who will draw those voices again that wholly need to be represented in the State House.
I don't know how you're going to straighten these idiots out.
May I give you a hug, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
You thinking of supporting? Are you on the fence?
So here you have it again at 580-5436. This big kiss that CNN has given her. Never mind there's no campaign manager. Never mind that there's there's no communications person. I don't really know why this is even a race. Personally, in my point of view, they should declare this done, elect Brad Little, let Butch Otter ride out into the sunset, and let's get on with our lives.
There hasn't been a Democratic governor since 1995. The incumbent obviously is a Republican. Is Idaho ready for a female Native American Democrat?
Now, before we get to that, Poppy Harlow from CNN, there is no incumbent, so please get your facts straight. Well, it's Idaho, who cares? Well, we care. We live here, right?
To run this state.
Idaho is ready for a leader.
I really, truly believe in the fact that Idaho belongs to all of us.
The minute we walk in the door, they feel and see something different. You're looking at a state that has one of the highest ratings in the country in youth suicide rates. People are getting by on minimum wage jobs and can barely make ends meet. Some of the discrimination, you think it's the 1950s.
An honor to be able to meet you today.
But you have a lot of young women who are now looking to rise up and have opportunity.
In seeing young girls and seeing young girls of color react so viscerally to you, tell me what you want your message to be to these young girls.
They're looking at someone who not only will lead, but open that doorway.
Faith that we can do this, that we can turn Idaho for the greater good. Let's win!
It reminds me of like Idaho's Hillary Clinton. And no one else has said that. Maybe that'll be our new thing for Paulette Jordan. Idaho's Hillary Clinton. We need to elect a woman. Why? Why not? Women are good. Men are good. No, men are bad. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Your thoughts, your views on Paulette Jordan. As I've said before, I just don't see this happening. And with the current shakeup, Mr. Soros would be better off to move on to Wyoming or Montana or anywhere else and leave the great folks of Idaho alone. So that is our first topic of the day. Obviously, you have the Brett Kavanaugh thing where you have somebody saying back in the 80s, can you remember what you did yesterday as opposed to in 1980-something? That he should not be the Supreme Court justice. I would hate to see what they would find out if anybody looked in the closet of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right?
Brett Kavanaugh may still win confirmation to the high court, but the margins in the Senate are so tight that this thing may get awfully, awfully close here. The White House is still standing behind Brett Kavanaugh, but support for a quick confirmation vote here on Capitol Hill may be eroding. Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein knew about the allegation back in July, but didn't acknowledge it publicly until late last week after Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings. And Republicans say the timing smacks of politics. Now, Kavanaugh, it's important to note, has denied these allegations. Dozens of women who knew him in high school have signed on to a letter backing him and defending his character. The committee vote on Kavanaugh is still scheduled for Thursday.
And that's coming up. Let's get to your calls as we start the morning on the right side. We'll go to Chase in Boise. Good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Chase.
Good morning. Yeah, so I haven't followed this election a lot. In fact, I'd like to know when it is, because I'm gonna rally my family and everybody to get down there and vote. That's the last thing we need here in Idaho. She needs to take those beliefs to California.
That works for me. That is November 7th is the election.
November 7th. Okay. Good deal.
Well, Chase, we appreciate listening. Anything else you want to say? I know it's a little early.
It is. Just headed to work. Appreciate everything you do and enjoy listening to you before I clock in. So.
Well, have a great day of work, sir. Take care, Chase.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Brian in Nampa, good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, brother, what's up?
It's been a while.
I found out something. Yeah. Well, I'm off on Mondays and Tuesdays, so I found out something over the weekend that applies to this, and I just thought I'd share it. FBI statistics for 2016, the most latest ones they have for murders in Idaho. There were 47 murders. Guess how many were with a rifle?
How many?
One.
Wow.
One. The bulk of them were done with either pistols or other types of firearms. Guess how many with hands and feet?
How many?
5.
Huh.
Guess how many with knives and blunt instruments like bats and stuff like that?
How many?
7. So, in Idaho, you're 5 times more likely to be beaten to death, stabbed, than you are to be shot with a rifle. Now, I know we had all this drama over Florida and everywhere else, and if you look at the previous years, it's pretty much the same statistics. An example, a shotgun used in murder, 0. Now, I'll be the first guy to tell you that at close range, a shotgun is more deadly than any other weapon, than probably a rifle and then a pistol. But with my background working in prisons, criminals prefer pistols or modified weapons that they can hide. So I would really be interested if we could get Paulette on this show, why she's so against rifles if they're not used to murder. That's what I got.
Well, we'll have to find out who our communications person is. What do you make of all these people quitting?
I think the Democratic Party is in shambles. In fact, I work at a place that have a lot of liberals. It's in IT. I mean, everybody that works in IT knows that, and they're angry. I hear them complaining about Republicans and all the normal stuff every day. And you can imagine they come after me. And, you know, they're in chaos. There's a reason they haven't got elected for quite a long time in Idaho. And another thing I want to just kind of point out, you know, most of that side complains about religion the most, and I don't care what religion you are. But in Idaho, we have less crime, we have less abortions, you have a whole heck of a lot of less of everything. And the one thing that Idaho has is a lot of religion. I find that rather interesting, don't you?
I do.
Have a good day, Kevin. I'm listening.
Thank you, Brian.
You bet.
All right, bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Paulette Jordan, is she done? I believe she is. No one else will call it. But, look, when your campaign manager quits, when your communication person quits, and this isn't the first time, when you have people signing non-disclosure agreements, well, what do you expect? I mean, how in the world can you beat Brad Little? Can you beat the Republican Party? And much more on the disturbing story, these allegations coming out against Brett Kavanaugh. You're listening to Kevin Miller, waking up on the right side, KIDO Talk Radio.
The confirmation process has been woefully inadequate. Republicans have abandoned basic standards of transparency, well established by our committee. They treated last week's hearings more like a coronation than a constitutionally mandated vetting. Judge Kavanaugh's candor, and therefore his character, is seriously in question, and his constitutional views are downright extreme.
Right, of course. Talk about bitter pills, sore losers. Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio, taking your phone calls at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And one thing about Patrick Leahy and the Libs is they don't give up. You know, there was a guy in the NFL yesterday. He plays for the Buffalo Bills. Vontae Davis just had enough. He said, I quit. He quit at halftime. He just said, I'm done. The Libs are never done. So we have two things going on. State-wise, we have Paulette Jordan. Her campaign is in disarray, making people sign non-disclosure agreements. People don't want to work for her. And yet you have the CNN giving her the big, giant hug. Well, we don't need white men running Idaho. This state is a mess. If that's the case, then why is everybody moving here, right? If that's the case, truthfully, then Brad Little wouldn't have won the primary. If people were upset with the direction of the state, Brad Little would have not won the primary. Now, I know you're going to say, well, it was this, it was that. Look, elections matter, results count. That's number one. I think she's going to be one of the weakest candidates ever. I think Brad Little might pull 70% of the vote. You're going to have a lot of folks that are going to vote for her because, hey, it's new, it's great, it's fun, it's exciting. I know what she's saying. What does she stand for? I don't really get it. And then going back to the old Judge Bork, Clarence Thomas playbook, we have Dianne Feinstein that knew about this in July, but because they can't derail Kavanaugh, because they can't derail a conservative Supreme Court, they open up their bag of dirty tricks, right? We'll talk about it next. First, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. KIDO Talk Radio traffic. On the freeway, starting to see an increase as you're coming out of Canyon County eastbound there at the Garrity Interchange. Construction projects, Canada Road between Cherry Lane and Ustick. Detours up in place there. Also, Orchard between Fairview and Franklin. A lot of road construction in there. If your heating and cooling system is getting on in the years, it might be time for a new one. Right now, you could save up to $1,650 with cool cash rebates from Carrier. Call Western Heating and Air at 375-HEAT for details. That's your Impact Directory Traffic Update. I'm Dave Burnett on KIDO Talk Radio.
Thank you, Dave. KIDO Talk Radio weather from the Channel 7 First Alert Weather Center.
For sunshine today and again tomorrow, with temperatures pushing up near 80 degrees in the afternoon both days. Tonight down to around 50 under clear skies. Wednesday a little breezy, but mostly sunny through the end of the week, cooling off just a bit, the mid to upper 70s. I'm Channel 7 meteorologist Jim Duthie.
And we go to David in Napa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Yes, thank you. The week that the woman who lied about Roy Moore admitted she lied, so I guess we have to say God bless her, and I'm sorry she did that, but at least she fessed up. Now we have another lying woman, and I'm sorry. I'm not saying that because I disagree with her. I'm saying that because she's lying. Like Anita Hill, who was sexually harassed by Clarence Thomas 6 months before he met her. That's a neat trick if you can pull it off, but Ann Coulter plagiarized books that were written, or plagiarized something that was written 3 years earlier, and Sarah Palin banned books that wouldn't be published for 4 years. So 6 months, right? This woman said she doesn't know what year it is, doesn't know whose house she was at, but apparently it was at a pool party. Now, she said this 6 years ago to a couples therapist, except then she said it was 4 men or 4 boys who held her down and tried to rip her clothes off. Now she says the therapist made a mistake. Okay, 2, 4, they go to school not to make a mistake. I mean, these are little details, but little details are really important with people, But anyway, this is really pathetic, and they knew they couldn't do it. Dianne Feinstein held this letter. And by the way, another thing, she says she doesn't know what year it is. I moved here from California. Speaking of California, it'll be 6 years ago. Actually, it'll be 6 years ago in exactly a month. Okay? Ask me when I got the car that was high-centered out in the slippery snow. Okay? Maybe it was 2 winters ago. Ask me when I and a couple of other guys couldn't get the car that was high-centered off on the ice. Maybe that was 2 winters ago. I don't know. When you're in school, you know what year it is because you're in a year. It's called a grade. You know what year you're in. You know what I'm saying? You hear a song, maybe it's from, 19 whatever or 2000 whatever. You hear the song from whatever, you know what song that was because you were in a certain grade. So here's a woman who doesn't know what year it was, doesn't know where she was, doesn't know what house she was at, and changes the number. I mean...
No, I mean, you talk about the lowest of the lows, David. David, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Kevin Miller, you're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Much more on this coming up. First, let's find out what's happening in your world on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
And before we get to your calls, Rachel Sutherland joins us now, starting us off on this Monday morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
Was it a good morning, a good weekend for Mr. Manafort? He was quite the topic of conversation over the weekend.
Absolutely. On Friday, he obviously pled guilty to charges related to his work as a pro-Ukrainian lobbyist, took a plea deal. It's interesting that he did this after he was convicted. That's the other charges, which makes a lot of people wonder, why didn't he just do this sooner? But indeed he did, and actually Kenneth Starr, who obviously worked on the Clinton investigation, was on ABC and said that this is a very serious thing for the president. But Rudy Giuliani has been on Fox News, the president's lawyer, saying this really has nothing to do with President Trump. All these charges, and admittedly they aren't related to any kind of collusion or to Russia, but the speculation is, what does Paul Manafort have that Mueller wants? Obviously, it's a bigger fish than Paul Manafort. So it's going to be higher up the food chain. And obviously, as far as Robert Mueller is concerned, he wants as much information as he can get. The question is, what is that? Is that about people within the campaign? Or there's been some speculation it could be different lobbying groups here in D.C. that were implicated and named, or at least named in a superseding indictment against Paul Manafort. So it could be any number of things.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, let me play devil's advocate. Could it be a nothing burger, considering we heard that about George Papadopoulos, and and he got 2 weeks in the pen? Of course, Manafort's a different cat.
I think it's different than George Papadopoulos or Michael Flynn or any of those, because of his. Even though, the president has tried to distance himself from Manafort, he was the face of that campaign during that summer of 2016. I remember being at the Republican National Convention and asking him a question there. He was the man. I mean, that was who you're going to be talking to. So he was very involved in the campaign. There can be no saying, like with George Papadopoulos, he was just a low-level staffer. He really wasn't involved with anything. So in that case, I think this makes it different. The question is, what has he got? What does he have to say? And how does that implicate things going forward? And, again, what does Paul Manafort really get out of this? I'm not seeing much unless his plea deal is a work in progress. I mean, he gets to keep his house in Virginia and his house in Florida so his family can live in them. Other than that, he's given up all of his bank accounts, his financials, his properties.
Well, he doesn't get any more than 10 years, from what I understand. I think that's what I heard, is that from the first sentencing. So he doesn't get life in prison.
Yeah, but, I mean, not to be glum, but at 69 years old, that really could be life in prison.
Wow.
I mean, 79. I mean, a lot of folks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. Well,
I guess he could get time off for good behavior.
maybe he's an optimist.
I mean, I'm not trying to say he's old. I mean, no one's saying 69 is old, but you add another 10 years to that, you're almost 80.
Right. You're right. Rachel Sutherland joining us quickly on a personal note. It wasn't the damage they thought it would be, but as you know, working the Carolinas, being from the Carolinas, water can be even more damaging than high winds and tornadoes in this case, and we're seeing this throughout North Carolina and South Carolina right now.
Absolutely. The flooding is definitely deeply distressing. It is damaging. It is deadly. We've heard of lives already, being taken, and certainly our thoughts are with the Carolinas for sure, because we knew this was coming, but it doesn't make it any easier to try to clean up, and that's always the hardest part. And people have to go back to their businesses and homes and find them, either significantly impacted or destroyed, and that is always something that's so difficult to face.
Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio, thank you.
Thanks.
And remember, your home for Fox News Radio is right here on KIDO Talk Radio. That's 107.5 FM, 580 AM. We go to our old, lovable curmudgeon, the huggable Liberal Steve, with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Liberal Steve, on KIDO Talk Radio.
Buenos dias, Senor Miller. Welcome to Idaho. Well, I must say, Liberal Steve, once again, is going to turn out to be right on the dot. With Kavanaugh resigning, I said, was it last week, the week before? I said, Kavanaugh will resign. Something will come forward, and he will have to resign. I mean, if the head of CBS News and all these other CEOs step down, and Kavanaugh's just a judge or a lawyer being appointed to a position in the Supreme Court, he'll have to step down, period, and resign, pull his name out.
Well, who's to say these allegations are true?
Well, Christine Ford, it breaks down in a therapist's office with her husband there, crying in 2012, other than what Danny Boy says and all this other stuff about Anita Hill and the pubic hair on the Coke
So she waited all this time and all these years and broke down, and Dianne Feinstein had this till in July, and so we're led to believe her. Well, whatever happened to the benefit of the doubt? Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Oh, yeah, and President Donald Trump said Manafort wouldn't flip or didn't flip, and now all of a sudden he's flipping. Isn't it funny how these things always end up the truth? Like with Nunes, who denied it, and with all these others.
Well, Nunes and Weinstein had a virtual harem of abuse, the way they went through people, allegedly. On the other hand, Judge Kavanaugh has been nothing more than an example to women, to everyone else. And by the way, let me be the first to offer the condolences. Bye-bye, Paulette. Bye-bye, Paulette. You've got to go.
Well, let's not
you're not going to comment on that. She's done.
Why is she done?
She's done. Nobody wants to work for her.
Huh? The people that left her? Oh, come on.
Miller. Oh, wait a minute. Which people? This time around or right before the primary?
Right before the primary.
Every Democrat in this state owes A.J. Belukoff a public apology. Every Democrat that voted for Paulette Jordan, you're about ready to be humiliated and embarrassed.
A.J. Belukoff.
A.J. Belukoff was a good man, and this would have been a competitive race. He barely lost to Butch Otter the last time around.
Hey, you said he was a good man? He's no longer a good man?
He's still a good man. You're right. Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
Paulette's a good woman, and she's still a good woman.
I like how her whole thing is, I'm different. Well, what do you stand for? I'm different. What do you stand for? I'm different. Well, Idaho doesn't need to be run by white men anymore. I'm different. Okay. And that was the lady on CNN, and I'm thinking, Why did she correct that? You know, you got to give that to Obama. He would always say that he's a person for every American, even though that was the bait and switch. But for her, you know, what's the appeal?
Paulette Jordan will make Idaho happy again, period. It is so delusional
now.
Now.
Here's the deal.
And
you know
Idaho
she's going to lose. Hold on. You know she's going to lose. Just be honest. Just say, you know, Kevin, you're right. You're right, Kevin, I'm wrong.
We've already bet on this, Miller. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's let the bet ride, because I'm going to win, and I'm going to be hungry the day it happens. And let's go back to Christine Ford. She's not a liar. Kavanaugh did this. If he did it, it's up to him whether he steps down or not. It was a terrible, terrible thing he did. A mistake.
Well, let's find out what Ruth Bader Ginsburg did. Maybe she did something in her day.
She could have. Why do you keep switching the topic? All these men did, and why did the president lie over and over and over and over again? And yet he did it. Come on, Kevin. Well, someday you're going to have to stay with us on our side, the side where the truth is at. And then for the president of the United States
if I didn't join the Lib cause when they gave me a huge proposal to be the Lib Rush Limbaugh, I'm not joining with you now.
Kevin, you can't be somebody you're not. Well, that's true. There's a lot of talk people out there that you're right, that are on the air saying things that they really don't believe in.
Sure.
They're just like shock jocks and stuff. Like, I think Carl Tuckerson is the biggest fake in the world. I don't think he believes half the stuff he says, and he'll be gone before too long.
Well, look, I'm working on year 24.
And why doesn't Carl Tuckerson interview the creepy porn president?
Because he interviewed the creepy porn lawyer. Pete in Mountain Home, thank you for saving us from the lovable Liberal Steve. Good morning.
I have to say, Liberal Steve is a beautiful example of the leftist endorsement of the big lie. You tell a lie long enough and loud enough, you hope people start believing it. But getting away from that, this woman who is accusing Judge Kavanaugh apparently is a college professor at a California college. By definition, she's a left-wing socialist, far-out progressive activist. I mean, that anyone who's a professor at a California college has to be like whack job lefto.
Sure.
And it's amazing how just coincidental it was that they didn't spring this until they figured they'd lost on all the other issues.
Here's what I don't understand. Feinstein's had this since July. Why not own up to it and hit him with it in the hearing?
Well, because she knew it was weak, and she knows that Kavanaugh has a whole bunch of people, including women, who are going to come forward, who could come forward, and I guess they've already signed letters saying this is BS, that he was not that kind of a person. And they don't want to give basically they want to stall this until the election. They're hoping they'll take the Senate.
Well, here's another one. Bring in Kagan. If he was so bad, why did Kagan hire him?
Oh, yeah. And it's the same thing that they pulled with Clarence Thomas.
Yep.
You know, bring somebody in at the last minute to make an accusation that can't be verified, that goes against everything you know about that person. But, well, I said it, so it's got to be true. I'm getting sick and tired of this lying crap from the left. It is just, sorry.
It's all right, Pete. You have a great day.
Okay, you too, Kev.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, our great friend Pete joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Doug in Mountain Home. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, I just now got tuned into this when you turned Liberal Steve on. So was Kavanaugh done?
Kavanaugh's not done. Paulette Jordan's done.
Okay. Because I don't understand this Republican Party. All they got to do, there's enough crap on that freaking, that the damn witch that turned this in. What's her name there in California?
Senator Feinstein.
Yeah. Okay, why don't they just investigate her on the crap that's on her about her Chinese freaking helper, I don't know what you call them, for 20 years, that all of a sudden when all this crap started coming down on the Democratic Party, he upped and took all his crap and went back to China. I mean, somebody brought it out. I listened to it on the news. So why don't they investigate them? Why don't they investigate Clinton? I don't get these guys, except I think most of them are just as dirty, and they don't want to rock the boat because they don't want something coming out on them. I just don't get this. Why? I hope Kavanaugh fights this to the bitter end, because them guys are just as stupid as what they got nowhere to go with nothing, so they bring crap like this. Investigate Feinstein. Bring it up. Somebody in the news media, Sean Hannity, you bring it up and get something going on her and shut them up. I mean, they're so freaking stupid, they can't even breathe on their own. They got to have somebody tell them when to breathe or they'd suffocate.
Doug, thank you for the call. All right.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, more on the Kavanaugh accuser. Do you believe her? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be a part of your day, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. You know, it was 10 years ago that Lehman crashed. 10 years ago, has the market recovered? We'll talk a little bit about that coming up with Dave Petzo. Don't forget, KIDO Talk Radio is your home for your chance to win Kevin Miller's money. If you're excited about that, check it out at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Listen at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. for the cash code words. And if you get the cash code word, you type it in, it increases your chance to win up to $5,000. Let's get you to work safely and on time. You're listening to 107.5 FM.
The confirmation process has been woefully inadequate. Republicans have abandoned basic standards of transparency, well established by our committee. They treated last week's hearings more like a coronation than a constitutionally mandated vetting. Judge Kavanaugh's candor, and therefore his character, is seriously in question, and his constitutional views are downright extreme.
There we have it. Senator Patrick Leahy, a spokesperson for You Never Need to Retire. You can still be cognizant, coherent, and partisan well into your 80s. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. The attacks on Kavanaugh continue. We've seen this movie before, haven't we?
Judge Kavanaugh's candor, and therefore his character, is seriously in question, and his constitutional views are downright extreme.
Maybe extreme in Vermont, home of socialist Bernie Sanders and you, Senator, but not in America, not in Idaho, and certainly not here on KIDO Talk Radio. We've seen this movie before. Clarence Thomas, they brought up Anita Hill, and I just find it very troubling and terrible to believe that all of a sudden, whoops, we found something. If Judge Kavanaugh isn't good enough for the bench, then who is? A troubling question that we'll seek your answers to next, right after Fox News. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.